Hi there, Mike Shope here from warming Buffalo. Combine week, 3 cones, 40 times. Teams trying to evaluate prospects by asking them things like what they like on a salad. Late night information trading at whatever that steakhouse is in Indianapolis, so saddle up. Monday, noon Eastern time, not much to play with yet from the combine, but there is a little bit. Who's going to throw, who's not. That's starting to leak out, and we might get more information as we go through the show. We'll also look at what's happening in the first round of big board drafts, what, if anything, doesn't make sense, what kind of draft slots we like more than others at this point. There's a lot of speculation around, or there's new, perhaps, speculation around Matthew Stafford and what's going to happen with him. With our heroes, Pat Kareem is back, Davis Maddock, both have dogs named Murphy. Oddly, I'm Mike Shope. My dog is named Margot, before you ask. This is Ship Chasing, February 24th, 2025.
ADP chasing is for when you watch ship chasing, you go, these guys are just football guys.
And the targets per outrun leagues, that's going to be really nice.
Actually back in if it's Achane.
Stare into our crystal ball. Close your eyes, all your entries are going to lose anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is a Deuce Vaughn show.
It's anti-cabal. It's anti the best ball thought leaders. I'm obviously lying to some degree because I have a lot of both of these guys.
It's the most disgusting pick you can make. But man.
Oh, what happened here?
Uh-oh.
Davis?
It's not me this time.
Okay.
There he is.
Davis, did you leave and come back?
I had to reset real quick. My head.
Okay. All right.
It was not
because I had the outlines up, and these are the wrong outlines. But I had these are the right outlines. I remember to get the outlines up before we came back. I'm crushing it right now.
You're doing great.
You're gone.
That was me. Not you. That was me.
Not me this time either. If team asks you, the college prospect, this week, what you like on a salad, are you better off saying, sprouts, broccoli, light dressing, if any, or do you just go I'd never eat one, Al Michaels style? What's the right answer?
The correct answer is fried chicken. I feel like that. I feel like that'll crack up a football guy. Fried chicken is the best thing to put on a salad, rather clearly.
Or anything
crispy, else. Now, Shope, how important is it to you a year removed that Keon Coleman's really funny? Is that still? It was
never important to me. It was never important to me. It's one of so many Bills things that are important to fans that are completely unimportant to me, like who Josh Allen's girlfriend is. I couldn't care less. I want to set. I want
it
Matt
seemed to
Harmon.
elevate his draft stock. He was in there cracking up the room.
Yeah.
I don't know if he goes second round if he wasn't.
I want Matt Harmon to think Keon Coleman is worth it, not Michael Che. I want,
yeah, that's a fair.
I want it to make sense on the field. Otherwise, I don't care.
That's fair. Non-derogatory. That's fair.
It's early for that, but we're off and rolling now for sure. Anyway, for me, I would just be honest. I feel like that's the right answer to any question. So, yeah. Croutons, whatnot.
Oh, come on. Fried chicken is the
really?
Honest and correct answer. Yeah, I order a salad, the regular here with fried chicken on it, and it's awesome.
Interesting. Well,
croutons. Come on,
croutons.
Mike.
Come on.
We're already that's battling. A day 3. That's a day 3 answer right
no,
there.
but a really good salad, that when you leave it and you ate it, it's got to have croutons on it.
Oh my god.
The croutons won't keep.
One.
They won't keep.
Yeah.
But still, yes. You need that crunch, Pat.
Yeah, what am I going to do without stale bread? My God,
seasoned stale bread.
This is such a coastal elite take, Kareem.
I mean, sure. If you're getting a Caesar, it should probably have croutons. But if you're asking me a thing in a salad that must be in all my salads, I'm not picking croutons, man. Yeah, I'm gonna live a little. Put some fried chicken in there.
Salad topping draft coming to an ADP chasing or WGR show near you. Red peppers. Davis, come on. Go with me here. Red peppers.
If you're going with more of a salad thing, I would say sunflower seeds are also excellent. You can go kale Caesar with sunflower seeds. You don't even need croutons in that.
I do both, brother. So maybe once a month I go to Whole Foods and do the build a salad. It costs $27. It's literally one of the most outrageous things on earth. But you have to you gotta get the croutons. They have really good grilled.
No, this is such a crouton show.
Yeah, but you also have to get the sunflower seeds.
Yeah, since the mandate came from up high to make the show longer, there's a little bit more room to talk salad toppings.
Rusty says fried chicken salad, hold the lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, and veggies. Rusty gets it. That is the correct way to eat a salad.
And barbecue sauce he wants
anchovies
on his salad.
If you told me a Caesar was going to have anchovies or croutons, I'm taking the anchovies.
Sure.
Okay, all right. So we're already. How can croutons be the must-have if I just talked you into anchovies?
I don't have salads that often because I don't like to make them at home because the kits you get, the dressing is too high fat. But if you're gonna have a salad, like I guess maybe this is where the wires are crossed. Salad is not a healthy food, really, in general. It's like the salads that most people eat is very high in fat, very low in protein. So I'm thinking of this as like a treat. So I'm like,
not mine, Davis.
I want croutons, bro.
Anchovies
Anchovies
are like the first tight end in drafts to try to get us back on the road here. Like if you go to a nice restaurant, that Caesar salad, you can assume it's going to have an anchovy paste. My wife is a vegetarian. She's not getting the Caesar salad at a nice restaurant. At a lot of places, they might even ask you, but they're not going to worry about it. So that's kind of like, you know what? In a draft, that would be a sneaky pick. Maybe somebody else in the room forgot about it. It's not kicker.
It's true. I like this metaphor a lot.
A bad Caesar dressing is very Jake Ferguson-y, where it's like, sure, it's on the salad, it's there, but it's not really doing.
Not doing anything. No, that's right. Anyway,
yeah. Francis enjoys that salad is bad for you. Hot take.
It's just like, what does Francis think salad is? Does he think that's just
vegetables, right? It's vegetables,
right? So vegetables coated in monounsaturated fats. It's like, I'm not. It shouldn't be on me to tell you this, Francis.
Davis,
you should just know this.
This is a conversation I've been waiting to have with you. So a year ago at this time, I started on a weight loss thing, and I lost 30 pounds in 7 weeks. Okay. And it was with a program called Awaken 180. I do ads for them, full disclosure. And, I'm sort of learning, like, what do I have to cut out? What can I get away with? And one thing they told me was eat all the salad you want. Eat all the lettuce, fresh mushrooms. Eat all of it. There's no calories in it, right? Like, it's just sort of like free. Right. You're filling yourself up without, eating.
Because it's fiber. It's fiber. It's
smash
not
as many vegetables. I'm totally with that. In my current thing, I don't track fruit at all so like if I eat a banana, like I had an apple before this, I didn't put it in my macro tracker. It's like 150 calories, but there's a lot.
Oh, dude, I would just be buying. I would bringing in like suitcases of berries and just be like, I'm gonna track these. So,
but the berries are like bananas, even too. Apples, even maybe too. Like they're a little bit too rich on that program anyway. So I wasn't eating very much fruit, but. Lettuce.
Now
go
Pete,
for it.
Okay.
Pete is a health conscious guy here, and he's telling he's seen pro salad Davis.
So there's a clear miscommunication happening here. It is not the concept of salad that is bad. It's the salad that people eat that they think is healthy for them, and they slop ranch dressing on it.
I can picture the salad. It's some romaine lettuce, like a carrot, couple cherry tomatoes, ranch dressing.
You're literally seeing it in your mind, and people are like, "That's a healthy snack," and it's like, no, it's not.
Worse, iceberg. Make it worse. Actually, just go iceberg. Like you're going to get the big wedge. You get a fast food salad. It's like a big clump of lettuce.
Is it bad if your lettuce doesn't have a color? Is that making it healthier or not?
Yeah,
darker the better.
Just be water. Yeah.
If you're doing good lettuce, spinach, kale, whatever, some vegetables, some grilled chicken breast, apple cider vinegar, and like olive oil dressing with like salt and pepper. Delicious.
That sounds good.
Healthy, really good.
Can I throw an egg? Can I throw a little hard-boiled egg on there?
Of course, you could throw it in. But people are, these are not all one thing. The salad that you get from McDonald's as someone, or the classic is the salad you get from the pizza place that's like half a ledge of lettuce.
Yeah, they don't even cheese. Chop it. They'll just give you.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. You just pick it up like this and stuff it in that little plastic box.
Yeah, 100%. That is not tomato. That with a cherry tomato, some string cheese, and ranch dressing is not a health food.
The toy and the Happy Meal is more nutritious. It's better for you than that. Exactly.
We found nuance here.
What is the answer? What is the answer? If the Minnesota Vikings ask you, what you like to eat at restaurants, are you going just like full carnivore, or are you just like, oh well, I care about my body?
Honestly, it depends on how much ball you know. Because if you don't know ball, I think you want to get into the discussion that we just had. That took up your whole interview. You know, they left a good impression. You know, we kind of came to a consensus there at the end on salad. I think
we had some other questions for you, but we're out of time.
We had some questions about which plays your team was running.
There's so much fun you can have with those interviews.
But we ran out of time.
Yeah. Those interviews, I mean, they're all just abjectly hilarious and meaningless, are they not? Yeah. Is there anything you want to know? Have you guys read up on like how the interview, this is a job interview as much as it is anything else, like a prospect, how it's just actually counterproductive? Because
why isn't it all just board time? Like, why aren't you just like being like, okay, we want this, like, what do you prefer? Like, if we ran this, if you saw this defensive coverage pre-snap and you're in this, you know, we had planned, you know, ahead of time, called this play. What are you assuming if it's an option route, you know, you're going to be doing or whatever. Yeah, just like test these guys' knowledge of ball, you know?
Exactly. If you had 15 minutes with, it doesn't have to be a quarterback. It would vary by position. But if you had 15 minutes with one of these quarterback prospects, if you had 15 minutes with Jackson Dart, you're not asking about food, I hope. I mean, if that comes out,
all
it's
about your system and what.
It's like these bullshit like personality questions. You know, they're trying to be like, what's the scheme? What's the chemistry going to be? Is he going to get along with the coach? Do we like, you know, that type of? Is he a leader? Yeah. We should talk about the quarterbacks though, because
let's do it.
We got 2 updates that are meaningful. One, I think you guys probably haven't even seen yet. It just happened. Shadeur is not going to throw. He's going to wait to throw until the Colorado Pro Day. You know who else isn't going to throw? Cam Ward.
Really?
He's also not going to throw. And Kareem, you're doing the Windhorst. I'm doing the reverse Windhorst on you. Shadeur's not going to throw because he doesn't have to. Shadeur's not going to throw because I think that's that's my reading.
So I was listening to Brugler the other day, and he was like, he's not like Shadeur's not a lock for the top 10. Like he's not. When Bryce Young didn't throw. And the team still traded up for 1. That's a different situation. Now, also, it's the same situation because Bryce Young doesn't have a super strong arm, and neither does Shadeur. But if a guy like that's a guy that doesn't need to throw. Shadeur kind of needs to throw. Like if he wants to go number 1, he needs to throw. If he wants to go number 3, he might need to throw. Like this is a dude who's like, I don't need to throw to go first round. Sure, to go. Like top 15, probably top 20 anyway. Sure, I don't need to throw, but
maybe he and his agent and his dad have already had conversations with the spot where he wants to go, and he's like, I don't care. Maybe he doesn't want to be a Brown.
I think Occam's razor is he has a kind of a weak arm because he's not being talked up as a you know, it's not like he's the clear cut. He's not even the QB1 in the class. Like, how can you not need to throw if Cam Ward's ahead of you on like every board?
That's not going to change. Is why. Like, Tennessee is going with Carter.
It's certainly not going to change if he doesn't do stuff like throw.
What is
trying to make it change?
Risk reward of that. Like, one is defense, 2 is Ward. Like that's, I think
if you have the confidence in your arm, then the risk reward is strongly in your favor because you could maybe flip Cam Ward and go with number 1.
If
you have a crappy arm, then the risk reward is in
because who wouldn't want to go to Cleveland? Right? If you're a quarterback prospect, who wouldn't want to have to flip that and go to Cleveland? I mean, I don't care about that if I'm Sanders.
It's actually going to Cleveland or New York if you're a quarterback, actually right now, weirdly, is not that bad because you go to Cleveland, you have Njoku, you have Judy. That's like the basis of like not the worst passing game. And Tillman. Yeah. Tillman was kind of like not that bad. You get to go to New York, you're like, I'm just going to throw crossers to Malik Nabers for the next 4 years. He's going to make me rich. So either of those spots, I think you're fine. And this would be my Windhorst, Pat, to reverse
Windhorst me.
The 2 teams who desperately need a quarterback are picking at 2 and 3. Dare them, play chicken with them to take Travis Hunter. Play chicken with the New York Giants to take Travis Hunter and run back another year of who would even be there.
I think you're if you're Shadeur, the scenario that I would be worried about would be you go, are you reverse Windhorsing me?
I'm just trying to fit in, you know, I'm trying to get along. Go ahead. I have the point you guys need to be making, but you guys keep talking for a while. I'll tell you that what you're missing.
All right, let me just say that if you're Shadeur, it's pretty realistic that the Titans go ahead and take Abdul Carter, who's the guy who should go number 1 in this class. He plays edge. He's an elite edge prospect, and it's like he's going to have a huge impact, not a quarterback level impact, but given like the certainty of him versus the certainty of the quarterbacks, I would take Abdul Carter. Then you go to number 2. The Browns don't want to be investing a ton at quarterback right now, and the roster's not like ready to compete with a quarterback or even that great of a. I mean, it's not terrible to your point with the weapons, but like it's kind of deteriorating. It's a deteriorating roster with Garrett demanding a trade and all of that. They could easily take care of quarterback with like Kirk Cousins or something. Work out something where the Falcons are covering most of his salary and they send some pick to get him off the roster, right?
Cousins is coming to Cleveland. Now, the answer is he coming to Cleveland as a bridge? Is he Andy Dalton with Justin Fields, or is he coming on his own?
I don't think if the Browns, you can have Watson eating up the salary they're eating,
right?
Spend this number 2 overall pick on a quarterback and have like Cousins as a bridge. Like at what point is like one of these guys, you're like, well, Shadeur, we're moving you to cornerback because we don't have any other players.
The insider... The insider chatter is that Watson's contract becomes obviously the worst cut of all time, but cuttable after this season.
Yeah.
That it's as bad as it possibly could be. It's New Orleans Saint level cap detonation, but it is conceivably you can field 53 players on your roster after cutting him after the year. Yeah.
Right. But it's just I could see them it's pretty easy for me to be in the Browns' shoes and go, you know what we could really use? A face of the franchise that isn't Deshaun Watson. Let's take Travis Hunter. And bridge. Kirk's a bridge, but he's a bridge to after we cut Deshaun next, into 2026. He gets us through 2025. And now you're at 3.
Pat, you don't need Cousins for that. There are 10 veteran quarterbacks that don't cost anything. You could go with it, and you would. They already did Tyrod Taylor when Mayfield was there, but he's perfect. Somebody like that or Jones. That's perfect.
Well,
if they didn't already do Jameis would be good.
He's right there.
Yeah,
that's right.
If you want to vet, you can just take Tyler Shuck in the second round, and then you've got your veteran leader.
We will get to. I've got takes on Tyler Shuck.
This
This is all to say. This is the longest walk ever. But Cam Ward could be available to the Giants at 3. So if your goal is Shadeur, so it's like, oh, just go to the Giants, whatever, who cares? Well, Cam Ward might go to the Giants. It's not as simple as that. Like you have to be trying to like keep your draft stock as high as possible if you want to go in the top 3 or top even.
Okay.
Do you want to go to the Raiders at 6? Because you might be going to the Raiders at 6.
The quarterback, the week 1. 2025 quarterback of the New York Giants will be Matthew Stafford.
That's the buzz. That's the buzz right now.
Yeah. So his wife's brother was hired by Brian Daboll, who was in Buffalo with him. If you guys remember and I'm sure you do, Tyler Dunn's, magnum opus on McDermott a couple of years ago. It wasn't the thing with 9/11. But the one big element of that was how the players all got together to celebrate Chad Hall, who was the receivers coach for that team. Gabe Davis had come off the 4-touchdown playoff game, and they loved him. And what Tyler wrote in part was just like that McDermott resented that. And so he goes, he's not the Giants receivers coach. I did a quick search on this morning when I saw, was it Peter Schrager talking about Stafford. And like Chad Hall received, he's not he's the assistant quarterback coach for Daboll and Joe Shane, who was the assistant GM in Buffalo with the Giants. And I don't know, like they might not know yet who they like of the rookies, but it's New York and they've been nowhere forever. Doesn't it work? Stafford, wouldn't they do it? Daboll, like sort of on the cliff with the Giants.
Daboll would definitely do it.
It depends on
probably
what
aligned
the
with
asking
management.
price is, I think. Like, so Stafford wants a new deal. That's why this is even on the table. Stafford wants a new deal. Rams don't want to give a new deal to a guy who's 37. So, but then it comes out with like, well, what are the Rams looking for in a trade? They want like a first. So, like, what are you giving up to get Stafford? If you're giving up like a second and
It's 203.
change,
It's 203.
203. Okay. I mean, I don't. It's probably like where the Giants are and like what, like as far as team building, that's bad because the Giants aren't gonna like. They're not gonna like win the Super Bowl with Stafford. It's like you might as well build for the future. But as far as Joe Shane and Brian Daboll trying to save their jobs, that's like a reasonable enough move. But
Management,
the Rams,
I believe management would endorse, Pat. I really think so. Like the way the Giants
Rams
seem.
take that though, because that's crazy for the Rams. Like they're in the wilderness now at quarterback in probably the worst year I can remember to be in the wilderness at quarterback. Bad quarterback class
until they get Jackson Dart and he's just Bo Nix.
I thought you were gonna say Tyler Shuck.
Oh well, I mean Tyler Shuck is basically Matthew Stafford's age. They're peers,
yeah, they're
so
the
that
same
will work
age.
out.
Darnold would be funny for the Rams, having just beaten
Darnold
him
would
twice.
be very funny. Darnold
But
would be
I don't
very
know.
funny.
I don't think you want to give that deal to Darnold, but yeah.
As well, someone's going to give it to him.
He's younger.
As Peppertoni mentions, any chatter about Stafford, we are contractually obligated to mention his wife, who seems to be the precipitous here. Zach brings up the real question, which is that Kelly Stafford is dyed in the wool. The rumor is basically that like she's tired of woke.
This is a misconception of New York, though. New York is not woke. New York is like the richest people in the world live in New York. Now
they could live on the.
I don't know where.
How far
but there's
is it
some
from
of the richest people in the world
Upper
live in
East
New
Side
York.
to the Meadowlands?
Yeah.
I mean,
first of all,
brother,
North Jersey there are very conservative pockets of North Jersey. She'd be right at home there.
Her brother is the assistant quarterback coach. Her brother is the assistant quarterback coach of the team. And, we did mention, and this is also where we mentioned that Joe Burrow is older than Darnold. Okay, go on.
Oh, yeah.
That's why the Rams do it, is because he's 10 years younger than Stafford. That's why they do it.
Yeah, there's some rich Democrats in New York for sure, but
call them limousine liberals. But if Kelly signs off on it,
let me mention here.
Money's never that woke.
I live in New York, by the way.
Money tends not to be that woke.
I live in New York.
It tends to be about money.
You live in upstate New York.
I live on the western border of New York, but they tell me that this is New York, so I live in New York.
They tell me.
Bills fans get very upset when it's the subject of New York football teams comes up. Josh Allen, one of my first favorite things about him was when he was on a press conference with Jets media, and like, imagine if you had been drafted by a New York team. He's like, I was. It's pretty good.
Got him, Josh Allen. Zapped his ass.
He was.
So I think ultimately this could all be just the Rams end up giving him more money, like a 2-year deal with a shit ton of money. Like what's the realistic number? $48 million a year for 2 years for Stafford. Because let's be honest, dude, McVay does not want to start Jackson Dart. He really doesn't.
Why are we here then? Like at the beginning of this,
it's probably a negotiating tactic. Yeah. They're just like Stafford's asking for more than they want to give him, and they're like a little bit worried about like maybe he's asking for more years than they want to give him, or it's like let's see if someone will overpay, and then we'll figure it out. Like they're actually, McVay's not getting fired after like a losing season. Like I don't know, maybe they're the worst team in the league, and then they get like Arch Manning or something.
We'll do this with you, Giants.
Can he come out next year? I don't know.
We'll do this with you, Giants, but you got to take Cup too.
That's how far Cup's fall.
Stafford probably would love that. Stafford doesn't want to break. He doesn't want to break up the Breakfast Club.
Maybe the Giants would love it.
Cup is maybe kind of a good fit with Nabers. He just like he's the motion guy or whatever. And say what you will, defensive players will still Pat Kareem and Sam Sherman won't respect him, but defensive players will still respect Cooper Hill. I could see it.
Yeah, me too. Well, anyway,
maybe
you're right to throw shade or just caution to that Cam Ward Browns idea. As bereft historically, currently, the Browns and the Giants, cold weather, just such a history of losing. They both have the right coaches, I think, for a quarterback prospect. You would like that about them. You're not going to like a Mike Vrabel team or something where like it's just going to be, run and stop the run. Like, you could like Daboll and Stefanski both for what they can offer you. The Browns could do something with Ward where they do start someone else and they go the Pat Mahomes route, where like, we're not really trying to win this year. We're to develop you. We'll take your time. This is the one thing we've always done wrong as Cleveland. You know, Mayfield, just guys, throw them right in. Just sort of take a deep breath and be patient and, you know, tank, basically.
To me, that's you're lying to yourself as Browns management if you think that's going to fly with the fan base. You're going to tell them we have Deshaun Watson. We just get the first fully guaranteed quarterback contract. Just blew a gigantic hole in the side of the franchise. He's not going to play a single snap for us for the rest of his career. We also just spent the number 2 overall pick on a quarterback. You're not going to see him, though. You're not going to see him. And our plan is to lose a bunch of games. So we're just going to keep losing. I'd
be fine with it. I'm trading Garrett.
Dude, Pat, the Patriots just tried this. The Bears tried this. It doesn't work. You can't roll out. You can't do it. It's just a way to get yourself. You just lose a ton of credibility with the fans. Don't do this. Don't worry. Joe Flacco will hold down the team all year. You don't have to worry. You're not going to get to see the shiny new toy that you're so excited about. You just won't see him. And 6 losses later, you'll be fine with that. They won't be fine with it. People will revolt.
If he's undeniable, the Browns, what are they? They're already flat on the floor. Browns fan, like, there's nothing to worry about there. They'll be back. If Ward is undeniable, then this is a let's all get fired plan. Let's all get fired. Let's draft a quarterback number 2 overall and not play him. Is just people hate it. They hate it.
That you can't do. If you take the quarterback, you play him. There's no.
Play him.
Yeah, you can have the bridge.
Every game you don't play him is just like your approval rating goes down. It's like, let's tank our approval rating with the fan base. It's like directly correlated. People.
The one area where I think you're right is that the coaches are probably doomed. Like, what happened with New England? They took their time with May. He got on the field. I'm not saying Ward has to never get on the field, but like, he's not your plan, and you can figure out how to sell that. Doesn't really matter. Like, if teams, fans know what you're doing. So I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. I've waited my whole life. I can wait one more year, and it makes sense.
You can't, Mike. Let me show you the human brain. Let me introduce you to the human brain. They're not going to do it when it's the middle. When it's the middle of the season. And they haven't won a game, and they're having to watch terrible football, and they've already given up. How many resources have we spent at quarterback? And we're what have we seen for it? What have we?
You're right.
We've spent all this money on Deshaun Watson. We spent the number 2 pick on a quarterback, and we're getting Joe Flacco.
Don't make it Joe Flacco, but still, you're right. It makes so much more sense to take a rookie who not everybody really. He's not like sort of a generational prospect or anything like that. It makes much more sense to sell off, your veterans, Myles Garrett, whatever, put him on the field on a terrible team, and have fans talk about how they're ruining the next guy that they spent the 2 overall. That makes so much more sense. No, I don't think
that doesn't make sense either. I think they should take Travis Hunter. I think they should take Travis Hunter.
Fine. That's interesting. Fine. Maybe that's better. Maybe that's better. And then they get their quarterback next year.
You shouldn't take Cam Ward. You're not in position to take Cam Ward. It's too much capital to spend on a quarterback. You're not ready for a guy to jump in and succeed.
They're going to take
I don't hate that.
They're not going to take Hunter.
Cam Ward is far from a sure thing, and these guys, like, I don't know. You're hanging on by a thread. I think your path is you're right, Chope. It doesn't have to be Cousins. There's, a few different options, but you get in a cheaper veteran, and you just try to put like a solid product out on the field and get people excited about Travis Hunter and the future. And maybe you do trade Garrett and you've got extra pieces next year, and you're like, look, we've got a good coach, we've got a good defense. We now finally have assets, and you'll probably have a top 5 pick again next year. And then you figure it out from that point.
Give the fans some credit. I'm in Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow's division. I'm in Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen's universe. They're all under 30. What am I supposed to go for it this year? No. Like, I've got it 5 years here to figure it out with the rookie. I think not drafting a quarterback is fine for Cleveland for, picking or trading down or something like that. If they get get a Garrett move done. They'll have another pick or two to play with, and you could build it up. I think that's fine. But if I'm a fan, I have 0% expectation that they're going to do anything this year. And if I feel that way, the worse they are, the better. And I don't want to ruin.
Fans are
my
too
rookie.
dumb though. Fans are not understanding this at all.
Fans
are like, we have Garrett, we traded for Judy. Tillman was exciting. Njoku's 30. This will probably be the last year Nick Chubb can even like walk. So we should try and win.
Chubb's a free agent, by the way. I doubt he's there.
Yeah.
It's well.
Njoku would be a trade candidate for me too.
Yeah. I just think basically I cannot really ever recall any fan base ever in my life being like, it's sick that my team wants to win 4 games in football. In basketball, you can sell it, right? Basically, any basketball team, you can sell it, but no NFL team. Like the Browns tried to do this before. Remember when they basically salary dumped Osweiler? The fans hated that. They hated what was the GM's not Andrew Berry.
It was a great move, by the way, too. They got picks for taking on a stupid contract.
Yeah,
more teams should
hated that Browns team. They hated the idiot coach. They hired an idiot coach specifically to lose more games, and they hated. I'm forgetting
Hugh Jackson. I think was
Hugh Jackson.
Yes. Kitchens later.
Yes, these people were like, they were revolting in the streets because they hated.
It's a long time ago. It's the same people that root for other sports. It's the same people. I mean,
here's the thing. Yeah, I don't think we have. I mean, I watched the Patriots discourse very closely because I wanted them to start Drake May, and I was kind of betting on this narrative playing out, and it did play out. Is that like what fans want? Is they're okay with losing games. They're very okay with losing games, but they want you to like lose games the way. They want you to look like you're going to win games, but then at the end, they just like take the score and change it to a loss.
The Justin Fields season where he was awesome and then threw a back-breaking pick at the end of every game, Bears fans were like ecstatic. They were like, this is the greatest thing of all time. Fields playing well and then finding a way to snatch victory from the
That's
Jaws
what they want. But if you look in
those people were thinking about the future. Those
yes,
fans,
but
those same fans you're talking about.
You have to go out there and like put a good product out on the field, be well coached, everything's going great, you're moving the ball effectively, and then somehow you lose every game. Like that people are okay with. But unfortunately, what actually happens is you go out and you look like a mess because you're a disintegrating franchise that hasn't got any kind of plan. And people hate watching. They're like, why am I rooting for this? Why is this my team?
Doesn't matter. I mean, if you owned a team, would you care at all about that? It doesn't matter.
They don't take it well. They freak out.
I'm not in New England. I'm in Buffalo, and for 25 years, my entire career, it's been mostly talking about this, which is like, what will losing feel like? The Sabres have not been to the playoffs in 14 years.
Mike, I got to tell
you, you don't have to teach me about what fans.
Your team did this. Your team did what I'm talking about.
They did what?
Played Josh Allen. They played Josh Allen as a rookie.
Sit down for a minute.
Josh Allen? Oh, he's a developmental guy. We don't need to play him. He won't play as a rookie. He played the whole season, Mike. He played the whole season.
He played the whole season because Nathan Peterman won the competition in the preseason. And what? You're not going to tell me how this went. I was here. He started.
You're telling me Nathan
one.
Peterman would have stayed ahead of Allen if he doesn't. What, he got hurt in game 1 or something?
No, he did not get hurt.
Okay.
They went to Baltimore in the opener. Allen was on the team. Peterman won the competition, started the opener. They got down maybe 40-0 at halftime and did not have a first down. And they put Allen in. And I've never known what their plan was for when to play Allen, but he did not go right in. And, he went in kind of in an emergency and he stayed in. So
but that's my point. That's my point. Is that these rookies, if you draft a rookie in the top 10, they're playing. Whatever the plan is, whoever wins the quarterback competition, it doesn't matter. Don't trick yourself as the coaching staff to thinking Nathan Peterman will start most of the season and we'll be fine. We'll just develop this guy behind the scenes. No, you won't. You will play that guy. You will play him.
I think the Bears example is an interesting one to learn from. Would the Bears have been better off this year not playing Caleb Williams? Like nobody was saying they shouldn't play Caleb Williams. Nobody. But he played, and it went about as badly as it could have. Coaching change, right? Like that's one thing I'm saying about a situation like Cleveland is there would be a coaching change probably at the end of it. But if I own the team, I don't care about that. I care more about sort of I don't even care about the perception because fans are going to show up and support me anyway, no matter what they do or say.
I don't know. It's like, it's a thing. It's like reality versus a theoretical thing where like, yeah, I mean, theoretically, if we all had like, if it was like we were put in charge of the Bears for the rest of our lives, we would draft Caleb Williams and develop him behind a veteran. But I just don't think that that's the way, like these coaching staffs are like with the vitriol.
I wouldn't have sat Caleb Williams.
They can't do it.
I wouldn't have sat him. He was a much better prospect. I would say you guys might disagree, but a much better prospect than Ward. And
yeah. No, I agree.
And they had Keenan Allen, Odunze, and the other guy, like they called it the best supporting cast any rookie quarterback has ever fallen into.
The call was coming from inside the house.
Horrendous. Horrendous. I love drafting Odunze right now, by the way. I love that so much.
He's a good pick. He's a good pick.
Caleb, Ben Johnson, Keenan Allen goes. Come on. It's Odunze or Tet in these drafts. Davis, your rankings, like sort of right side by side. Odunze or Tet?
I mean, it's just like I think you coin flip that one based on.
I think I'm Tet there. Tet's really good.
I don't have a hard the thing for the big board that would lean you. It's so like if you have Garrett Wilson and you don't know who to stack him with before that, I would maybe lean Rome because you know who to stack him with. But if you have you took Jefferson, you took Ladd, and you took you take I don't know who's wide receiver 16. I can't even think of JSN. So you've got three quarterbacks you can take. But if you started running back, Ladd, Garrett Wilson, well maybe you do Rome so that you can set up another quarterback.
McBride in there.
McBride, sure.
Yeah.
Back to the rookie quarterbacks. So Ward not to throw, Sanders not to throw. Davis, Dart, Milroe, Riley Leonard reportedly will throw. Tyler Shug. Here's a guy. He should be the next guy to change his name once he get into the league to Show. Because you could pronounce it that way. Like, change it to Show. Be the Show. But he's Tyler Shug coming out of Louisville.
Isn't it Shuck?
Shuck.
I've heard it
Shuck.
Shuck.
It's Shuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tyler
Well,
Shuck.
we'll expect that to change. I'd bet on that. But Greg Cosell
it's
is
definitely
into him.
Shuck from
But for now. But it was also Leggett, and there's also Achane.
That's
and then
true.
They went to the pros, and they changed their names. We talked about this.
Yeah.
Leave all that baggage behind. We're going to come by a different name.
He
and
should be Tyler Show.
Or actually someone else. Anyway, Greg Cosell is into him. Davis, over under quarterbacks picked in round 1.
I've got the line at 3. I think
you
Kareem
take 3
and
because I think it'd be set at 2.5. So you'd probably take the over.
Yeah,
At
Kareem,
least,
you and I disagree on this one. I think it's like almost a certainty that Jackson Dart ends up in the first round, and I think higher than he's currently going in the mocks. Like his most common spot now is being drafted at the Steelers slot, whether the Steelers trade out or take him there.
So I think we don't. Where I disagree is that I think Jackson Dart's not a very good best ball pick because there's some real downside for best ball. One of the scenarios would be he goes to the Seahawks in the first round. Totally reasonable move by the Seahawks, but he's not going to start all year. Maybe he starts at the end of the year, but you're going to lose a bunch of starts and, at a spot where you have like 3 quarterbacks, and he's not like this super high upside type of archetype. So you're just...
No, that's definitely true. The reason why I like taking Dart right now, it's twofold. First being, I think it's fairly certain he goes first round. Like I would make, like, if you let me bet it at -110 right now, I'd bet -110. So
on Dart or on 3?
On Dart. Oh, either or. Right.
But wouldn't you rather him go the early second to like, the Raiders or the Giants or, whoever doesn't take a quarterback in the first round and figure out
in that conception, sure, like
Someone
the
terrible.
Will Levis thing. Here's the thing, though.
Yeah, the Will Levis.
I think that's not the way. I think the Bo Nix, Michael Penix thing kind of changed how these. I think we're seeing evidence of the changed NFL meta where the Falcons were basically like, dude, we just got to take him here. We're not dicking around. We're not trying to wait. We're not. Another team could trade back up. We're done. We're done dicking around. Rusty also points out a big thing with quarterbacks is there is a huge incentive in taking a quarterback over another position in round one because the 5th-year option for quarterbacks is big. Because if they end up being awesome, you can get a cheaper year.
That's a cheaper 5th year.
You can get it, and so there's a lot of reasons to do that.
This is one of the many ways the Giants screwed up the Daniel Jones situation, but they declined the 5th-year option, right? That was their year to kind of figure out what do we have in this guy,
100%.
and then they declined to franchise tag him, and then they committed to him after that 1 year. So, yeah, I think even if the guy's not awesome, it at least gives you more time to figure out if you're going to extend him. I think with Jackson, I agree with your point. That maybe teams are just like, look, this guy's our guy, but you do have 2 landmines in the first round. First being the Seahawks, but the second is the Saints. You want to talk about like a team that would be kind of this year's Falcons of like, oh man, I did not see them going ahead and taking a quarterback. But you get the new coach,
right?
Kellen Moore's going to have this year's a throwaway year. You can cut Derek Carr after the season. You can't cut him before the season. It doesn't make any sense dead cap wise, but. I was listening to Connor Rogers talk about Dart. He's a pretty big fan of Dart, but he was like, I'm a fan of him in the sense of like, you develop this guy. He's a legit kind of developmental quarterback where he's like, I've gotten my quarterback write-ups like 95% done now. I was struck by like, he was sort of a system quarterback in college, but not like the system is a really different system than in the pros. Like he's not a great thrower to the middle of the field. He's not like a plug and play like system game manager in the NFL. I think he's gonna not that he can't do it, but like you think he's gonna have to like learn.
So I would push back on that a little bit because the system that he was in at Ole Miss is now the most dominant, not dominant in terms of results, dominant in terms of nomenclature, route concept in the NFL, which is the Lane Kiffin RPO. I mean, not that Lane Kiffin originated it, but Lane Kiffin is the is just part of the tree, which is like it's what every team runs basically.
What he's doing, what I mean is like he's got a good deep ball. He's a good scrambler, but he's not a great thrower to the middle of the field. So if you plug him into like the systems that protect these quarterbacks with flaws, it's like I like JJ McCarthy's fit a lot better than Jackson Dart's. It's like you're going to throw him into one of these West Coast Shanahan tree offenses, and like he'll be good enough at the RPO stuff, but like
Don't forget the Rams.
The Rams. I mean, that's another example. Like, is he gonna deliver the ball on time to guys and so they can get yak? Like all these systems are built around getting yak, and Dart is more kind of like a playmaker. He's like a runaround playmaker, with a good arm.
So I think there's a difference here in opinion, which is like sometimes guys do that in college because that is what is required of them. My read based on watching him, and also like he completed, I think like he led all of college football in completion percentage and like some of these like pretty good, as you noted, pretty good big time throw rate as well. Basically, Kareem, I'll just summarize it this way. I think he can have a Bo Nixian level impact on whatever team decides to start him in year one. I actually think worse runner than Nix, but a better thrower, a better reader of the game than Nix was. And Nix obviously got there. Like actually, Bo Nix is kind of incredible. He like got a lot better in season, which you don't see. Like Caleb Williams got worse as the season went on, and Bo Nix got better.
You could actually like see it with Bo Nix. Like he is better now. Like he had gotten, yeah, you're right.
Brett,
he had a great offensive line, which is probably a big part of that. But
he Shadeur led in completion percentage. Dart led the SEC in completion percentage, not all of college football.
By the way, talking about the Browns earlier, just I'll correct one thing. Their second round pick is the 201. Those were ties. The thing about the draft order, there can always be trades, of course, but who are the teams that might do this? Like Bo Nix. Denver sort of forced that and they got away with it. But It's 1, 2, 3. Tennessee, Cleveland, Giants. It's the Raiders and the Jets. 6, 7. Are we talking about this guy as a top 7 pick? Probably not. After that, nobody is looking for a starting quarterback unless you talk about maybe Pittsburgh at 21.
I mean, I'm telling you, I
that.
think some of these teams, like from last year, we would not have talked about the Falcons, but I think some of these teams, they could fall in love and be like. So I do think the Saints and the Seahawks are like strong candidates.
If he goes to the Saints, I think I'm winning anyways because he's starting 8 games, including
he's starting 8 games. They're not gonna. Yeah, he's taking the job from Carr. By the way, I kind of like Dart. I'm not out on Dart at all. I just think that one of the comps for me was Daniel Jones. He's kind of Daniel Jonesy with
sign me up for that. Frankly,
got a better deep ball, but it's not. I don't think he's gonna like sit back in the pocket and be like picking apart the defense. He's like, it's more it's a bit more like dependent on his mobility. It's his athleticism and his ability to like really throw downfield.
The nutted
well.
Scenario is obviously the Jets. The Jets say, you know what, we're taking him at 7. We're having him toss it to Garrett Wilson.
Ooh.
We're throwing a bunch of checkdowns to Brees. Yeah. Also, as Neighborhood points out, Jackson Dart, insanely handsome guy. Don't know if that helps, but I think it probably does help.
The good face and the good name.
This
is the guy who's not going to need to change the pronunciation of his name in the NFL. The good face and the good name. Yeah, that's a good combination.
Jackson with an X.
X.
Dart. Ooh. Yeah.
Dart,
dude, and he also he runs a little and he runs hard. He'll put his shoulder down. He'll come up and do this. He's got the right energy for a guy to go first rounds when he was like the reverse Milrow. Like everyone at the Senior Bowl was like, Jalen Milrow ass, don't want him, and everyone at the Senior Bowl was like, Jackson Dart, man, I don't know. Well, the thing I'd push back on there is that not everyone. Jackson Dart is really polarizing. Some people think he sucks.
Yeah,
but he has people who think this dude is awesome. So,
what about Milrow at this point? Like you'd bet -110 on Dart in the first round. What would you bet on Milrow to not go in the first round?
Yeah, he's not going.
A lot of money.
Yeah. Really? You're that sure?
I don't think Milrow goes first round.
I have a bet on him not going in the top 16.
Ooh, that's nice.
That's a Bulldog bet, Pat. You can follow that one.
He just took the other end of that. Did you have to lay anything?
I like, he's a smart guy. He knows a lot. And he's like, every year, one of these guys, no one's talking. Maybe it's Tyler Shuck. Somebody that we're not talking about. They fall in love. It's what happened with Nixon Penix. Remember Ben Solak last year, like a week before the draft? I think a lot of him. Like, there's no way these are first round picks. Bam, both of them. I'm not even in the, both top half of the first round. So did that go well? It definitely went well for Denver. So could somebody? I think
my point is,
who is the team?
It went way better for the Falcons than they could have had any reason to expect because they should have been up Schitt's Creek without a paddle, and Cousins was just so bad that basically like they just immediately bailed themselves out.
Yeah, and this kind of goes to the earlier conversation a little bit about what happens when you draft a quarterback high. They do tend to play. If you have that bailout option and the guy ahead of him is not doing what you expect, even if you just spent an insane amount of money, you're going to go to the bailout option. These guys are in self-preservation mode. They're not going to be able to handle, putting a bad product out on the field. So, yeah, I think that backs up your point, Davis, about if Dart goes to the Saints or if he goes to the Seahawks, like now the pressure is really, really on those veterans to like play really strongly and have the team play well too. And the minute they lose like 2 or 3 games in a row, we're probably seeing the rookie. Which in Dart's case, I think is kind of bad. I think Dart would be better off if he could get like a year. The Patrick Mahomes plan would actually be pretty good for Dart in my mind. But
what's best for Kellen Moore? What does he want here? Does he want
I don't know.
Dart to
Why
work?
did he take this job?
It's a thing. He moves every year. And this is
maybe because he just was he trying to move next year too?
That's funny.
Right.
What is best for him? Is it to make Derek Carr work, or is it to kind of blow it up?
No, The worst thing in the world is to make Derek Carr look good, because then you have to
Yeah.
deal with Derek Carr in 2026. And then it's like, if you don't make him look good again, now it's on you.
Then you're
You
out.
know? Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
yeah, I think you want, what you probably want is to just tank, just play a bunch of Spencer Rattler. Just go for the worst possible team you can.
If you're gonna do that, just bring Dart in and just be like, well, let's see what you got.
But I have to spend money. I have to spend capital on Dart. Why wouldn't I build through the trenches, and
sure
just try to make this team better? This roster sucks and it's getting worse.
So bad. Yeah.
Dude,
they should trade down 5 times.
Yeah, they should.
Do you know who makes more money than Chris Olave this year on the Saints?
No one, I'm sure. Or just Carr.
Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas has more against the cap than Chris Olave.
State of the year.
Well, so you're making
not Jamal Williams.
Michael Thomas.
Not Jamal Williams either. Does he also make more money?
Kareem, what you're actually doing is you're actually making the point that they are going to try and make Derek Carr work, because they just refuse to do this. They refuse to eat the shit. For whatever reason, this ownership group,
you're right. You're right.
They just absolutely refuse to just be like, you know what? We are going to be so dreadfully bad. So bad. We are going to be Spencer Rattler throwing to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, except not at the end of the season. That's the plan from week 1.
Garbage bags over the heads. Are you guys old enough? You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Where did that go? What happened to garbage bags over the heads?
Where
did that go?
I've seen the paper bags. Is that not
paper bags? Paper bags.
Yeah, no, I saw that a bunch. I saw that a bunch this year.
We don't see that anymore. Or
well,
do
that's
we?
because you're in Buffalo, Mike.
Really? That's still a thing?
It's all around. Yeah. Jets fans and Browns fans.
Jets fans.
I feel like
Jets
the
fans
stadiums are too nice.
Yeah.
But,
no.
All right. Yeah, that was the Saints originated that. The Aints. And
did they? I didn't know that was a Saints.
Oh yeah,
thing.
that was the first. I believe the Saints. Aints fans, or they write Aints.
The Aints.
Yes,
yeah, it's pretty good. Oh, paper bags have been banned. I've seen them. Come on.
Did you know that Joe Theismann was Thiesman in college?
No.
Wow, that's a
big name.
That's a big one.
We're on to a new thing here of guys changing the pronunciation of their name.
Changed his name to win the Heisman. Didn't. Ended up punting for the Toronto Argonauts before too long, before he really made it in the NFL. Tony Dorsett was Tony Dorset.
Tony Dorsett, yeah.
Let's get to the art.
The art.
Not lest anyone think I'm, moving these guys along today. Can we all agree on that?
I'm really you did move us along, but you let us go.
I'm moving you along at 52:30.
At 52:30, yeah.
All right.
Let's
so round 1. Zach did some good work for us. As usual this week with some graphics. There you see, I'm up in the big board at 102. Chase went 101. Is it obviously Barkley? I mean, of course it's a portfolio thing, but you guys could tell me what to do there.
I lost all my mojo, man. I have no mojo left. I'm not making any stances. I'm just taking the first round picks where they go, even though I think it's frankly the worst ordering of the first round since Jonathan Taylor went 101.
What would you have the order as?
My truth serum order?
Yeah.
Jefferson, Bijan, Chase, Barkley.
Jefferson
1.
Bijan, Chase, Barkley.
Yeah. That's my truth serum.
If you throw the next slide up, you can see Chase as a 101 versus recent years.
Frankly, double truth serum is Barkley should be even lower than that, but I don't want to get canceled.
So Barkley, when we first talked about it before the season ended and stuff, I was like, I don't know, like Barkley 101. But I will say with Barkley, Davis, if we think about like week 1 projections roll out, Barkley's going to be projected for like
22.5 underdog points or something.
Yeah. And then like Bijan's what? Like 19, 20?
Frankly, I think there is a good argument. Move that Algier rush share to what it was at the end of the year, and you've got Bijan in the same category.
Before we get,
you're gonna need to see it.
I want to get. Sorry, Pat. I want to get back into that, but we can move on from. Let's look at this for a minute. These are the last 5 101s in best ball mania than the big board right now with Chase. By the way, I want to just especially appreciate Zach for leaving McCaffrey back 4 years ago in the Carolina uniform. When Aaron Rodgers signs with the Titans, Adam Schefter will be there with a picture of Rodgers and a CGI, Titans. No one needs that. All right. Let's just wait until he actually has one of those jerseys on. We don't need the world to put the fake jerseys on. I hate it. I hate it. Juan Soto's a Met. There he is in a Mets. Right. Why do you need to do that?
I don't
know. You don't need to do that.
It always looks a little weird.
It is weird. Yeah. That's terrible. Finally, we agree. So anyway, here's the Chase 101.
It took until 55 minutes. So we agree.
It was a fun ride. We've got a slide on Chase versus Jefferson, if you want to do that. And then if not, we can get right to the running backs. I predict Gibbs at Barkley in the opener.
You mean they play each other?
That'd be a cool opener.
That is a
Philadelphia has options. They play, of course, Washington, Dallas.
Let's talk the running backs first. We can come back to the receivers.
Okay.
I want to have the Bijan because I kind of want all right. My truth serum take is that Gibbs should probably be the 101. This dude
I'm fine with that as well.
Me too.
This guy's the best running back. He's an incredible running back, and he catches the ball, and he has an amazing offensive line. And the team loves to run the ball. And it's if anything, we'll probably get a little less creative, which is probably decent for the running back. All the offensive weapons are in place. There's total stability here. The only thing that's a little uncertain is how much David Montgomery is going to have left. So, I mean, Gibbs could just go absolutely nuclear this year.
That's a pretty big area of concern, though, because that could chip. Imagine a world where you actually projected the entire season where it's just Gibbs, Sion Vaki, and Craig Reynolds in the backfield. Then Gibbs, if you were told right now, David Montgomery tore his patella tendon, Gibbs is probably the 101. Yeah.
I think Gibbs would be the 101. I think people would it wouldn't be you'd have to argue it. I think he just would become the 101.
He would just become the 101.
Yeah. People understand the bull case here. We've all seen it. But I mean, you think about how running backs actually turn in insane performances on a weekly basis. Normally, it's that they have access to a bunch of touchdowns and they can catch a bunch of balls. That's what Gibbs can do. What Barkley was able to do last year is just kind of destroy that to a degree by just having this incredible breakaway ability. But Gibbs also has incredible breakaway abilities.
He's got all the things.
Yeah, he's got that too. He's got an amazing offensive line as well. So you're kind of layering on some additional ways, additional outs for him to have monster games. The concern is really about Montgomery. And now, so it's Barkley's case really comes down to from the jump. Every single week, he's going to be projected awesome. Yeah. Every single week. And he's going to score awesome in a bunch of those games. And as we get to the end of the season, as long as he's healthy, as long as the offense hasn't melted down somehow, he's going to be a really, really strong bet in the playoffs as well. But Gibbs is the one where if everything breaks right, he's putting up 40 burgers. That's
right.
And then it's a question of how much do you want to give up in, the most likely scenarios where you are giving up Barkley's a better bet in the most likely scenario than Gibbs. But in the scenarios where it breaks right for Gibbs, give me Gibbs all day. So it's really just a kind of a question of how you balance those two things.
They also are losing Ben Johnson. I think will likely did make them a little bit less efficient. I mean, you could argue that maybe being a little bit less efficient on a team level might actually help Gibbs, feed him a little bit more volume. I just want to spend a second on Bijan, though, because I feel because it came at the end of the year when everyone was kind of checked out. How many people are just done with fantasy football by week 15, week 16 or whatever? The Bijan Robinson as engine of the offense thing, I mean, it happened. He ended the year 28 rushes, 5 targets, 17 rushes, 5 targets, 22 rushes, 2 targets, 22 rushes, 2 targets, 22 rushes, 2 targets, 26 rushes, and 6 targets. That is, I mean, that's better volume than Barkley.
I love that. I wonder a little bit what Atlanta wants to do with Penix, and maybe the Occam's razor here is that should be through Bijan, and then he grows. And you're right. But Barkley would be third here for me. You know, we know each other, like it's the older running back. Number of touches Saquon Barkley had this year, 482.
Good God.
Including playoffs, 482 touches.
Well, I mean, look, dude, surely the fact that he's another year older, that he got 33 targets, that they have the most unstoppable short yardage play in the history of football, surely none of that is going to impact Barkley's fantasy numbers. And he's just going to keep scoring these 50-yard touchdowns, and let's all just take him at 102 so that no one laughs or mocks at us. He's a good pick there, so just take him.
Dude, you're right, man. Like, I feel like a younger me just would put Gibbs at 101. You know, just he's the best bet to win tournaments. We're trying to win tournaments. Gibbs.
That's your way of saying that's what I really should be doing.
That's
well, I disagree.
Best bet to win a shitload of money. Gibbs is the best bet.
I disagree with that in only one slight way, which is that if JJ McCarthy is as good or a smidgen better than Sam Darnold, and the defense is just not the best defense in the NFL, if we can just get the Minnesota Vikings can be the 11th best defense instead of the best second best defense. The Eagles were the best defense. We could be looking at like, I mean, he could just duplicate what Chase did last year, except without the 2 for 20s interspersed in there that Chase does.
I think Jefferson and Chase are both like very strong picks at the top. And you're saying like, I basically be able to I'm going to outbuild the teams that take Barkley and Robinson and you know, Gibbs will be, well, first of all, Gibbs might be gone by the time you get Jefferson. All these guys might be gone by the time you get Jefferson, but yeah, you're going to like outbuild the teams and find running back points elsewhere. Those guys are really good picks. I think to me, like it's not that interesting of a conversation because they're both just really good picks.
My, I guess Tor Davis might have sounded condescending. That was unfair. That was a non-derogatory unfair by me. I don't know what's the T. Higgins effect on Chase if he's gone. Like, do we care?
No.
Oh, I think if Higgins is gone, it's pretty good for Chase.
It's even better.
Yeah.
Except Zach Taylor's such a goddamn moron that when T. Higgins was out last year, Ja'Marr Chase had 48% of his routes were double covered and he never moved. Zach Taylor was like, sick, dude. You know what we're going to do? Mike Gesicki. They'll never see it coming.
But you talk about a change in defense, Minnesota. You got to include Cincinnati, which had the worst defense. And if they get to league average, that's, going to flip that pretty hard, I would think.
I mean, bad defense, and you got to give Zach Taylor credit, especially in this era of the NFL. He will pass the ball. Like, pass rate over expected, they're kind of our kings now. So, that makes up for like, it's like how many additional routes does Chase get? And you're burning some of those. They're not the most efficient routes. They're not, it's not the most efficient design of the offense, but it's truly built around the passing game, which is, there's a lot of like AJ Brown wishes he had an offense built around the passing game. These elite receivers aren't always in that spot.
One slide we have, if you're ready, is who is the wide receiver 3. Lamb is interesting. I mean, Nacua, we'll see what happens with Stafford. I guess there could be some trepidation about him pondering a change. Collins and St. Brown, so well established. Lamb feels, in a way that I like when it comes to drafting him, just kind of boring. We've been through that. And Brian Schottenheimer taking over. I feel like the instinct is to kind of not fade him, but not be super excited about him. He's old enough now where I think he's become boring, and that makes me like him. But I would not separate him from this group.
If this is a world where Stafford gets traded, why is Amon-Ra not the best of these guys?
I think it's CeeDee, personally.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Schottenheimer uncertainty there. You also have the Ben Johnson left uncertainty.
Well, CeeDee was the nuts. They were the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL with Schottenheimer calling the plays 2 years ago.
Okay.
Prescott
Was
was
he calling the
quarterback
plays?
too,
He was
right?
calling the plays under
That's
McCarthy 2 years ago? Okay.
Yeah.
All
It's like it's so funny because I think people have done this mental math of the Cowboys were terrible last year. Schottenheimer was this out of left field coaching hire. I feel like people forgot this. People think Schottenheimer is new to the system. They were like, "Oh, he was out in the wilderness." No, he's been calling.
No, I didn't think he was new to the system. I didn't know he was calling plays under the McCarthy. So Kellen Moore left, and then Schottenheimer starts calling plays.
McCarthy
called
we
plays.
talked about how they wanted to score less. McCarthy made a comment that made us all sort of Dallas wanted.
Well,
they thought they'd be a better team if they scored fewer points.
That was actually that came out. That was a comment he made that was reported the year after Kellen Moore left, but he had made it the year before Kellen Moore left. So after Kellen Moore's first year calling plays, McCarthy made a comment of like, we're basically passing too much or scoring too many points or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Kellen Moore returned and they had a good offense. And then that like came out the following year after Moore left.
Okay.
So McCarthy kind of got a bad rap there. Where like and then they were quite effective. He wasn't calling plays though in 2023?
I think if I remember correctly, and maybe a Cowboys fan can correct me on this, so sacrilegious or Steph, my memory was that it started out with McCarthy calling the plays and then was one of those in-season switches.
I'm not sure Schottenheimer ever called the play. Like the NBC Sports November 19th, 2024, Mike McCarthy hasn't considered giving up play calling duties.
Okay.
To
All right,
Brian
there we
Schottenheimer.
go.
I think McCarthy
I'll
called
eat
plays
it.
the
I
whole
was
time.
wrong. Okay, I'm wrong.
They don't have to really tell you. Remember, like Mike Tomlin with this, they don't really ever have to tell you who's calling the plays. They can just, whatever they want you to think will be.
Yeah.
Frankly, I'll say this. I think the Cowboys, it was just, I actually kind of feel similar about the Cowboys, how I feel about the Dolphins. I'm like, I just am not taking anything from last year as real. They're going to look different. Brandon Cooks is not going to be the wide receiver 2. Dak will be healthy. It'll just, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but they are not going to be this awful, chaotic mess. They just have good players. Like Dak and CeeDee, that in and of itself.
I don't know, man. I could see the Cowboys being extremely chaotic. Like they have good players, but they have no depth. They've got Parsons, Dak, and CeeDee, and it's like the line is Zach Martin just retired.
You just wait till Ashton Jeanty is taking those handoffs. They are going to score.
Okay.
They're going to score so many points.
Yeah, I mean,
the Cowboys are such an easy mark. I'm trying to think like who the comp is for a team where we just kind of all decide that they're just making all the wrong decisions. And it's them from 2022, which, by the way, on Pro Football Reference, Schottenheimer is listed as a consultant. They won 12 games. They were 4th in the league in points. It's the playoff loss to the Niners that ends when they had Ezekiel Elliott. Like, what? Did he snap the ball or something? Whatever that play was. Yeah. So it's that season, but that was, gold for Lamb and for Prescott. And whatever Schottenheimer really was doing, he's listed as a consultant with more there in 22. Then they made that change. He went to wherever after that. Chargers? I don't know.
Yes, Chargers, then fired.
I don't know. I mean, like, the thing is, when you think about, because this year we're going to have a bunch of teams who we expected to be like pretty good to be absolute dog shit, right?
Yeah.
It happens every year. And so it's always a bummer. And you don't want to think like that. You want to be thinking about what the upside is because that's like how we're going to win tournaments. But it is, I think, sometimes helpful to just like explore the range of outcomes on some of these teams. And, the Cowboys have some signs. Like, for example, they have an 82-year-old owner who just got the acting bug. That seems like
better late than never.
That seems like a potential red flag considering he runs the entire organization, You could see this team being a bit chaotic, I would say.
Were you sitting on that all day? Have you used that yet?
No,
that
came up. I Googled his age to make sure I got that right.
But the delivery was
it popped into my head a few minutes ago.
The acting bug is a good way to end that line. Well done. Nico Collins, thoughts in this group?
I mean, I think I like Amon-Ra a lot Amon-Ra is both really safe. I don't think Ben Johnson leaving really has that much of an effect on like Amon-Ra, on Gibbs, right? Like I think it may have an effect a little bit on like the overall efficiency of the offense, their ability to like win games, score points, which will have an effect on, everybody to a degree. But like Amon-Ra is a target dominant wide receiver 1 with an awesome connection with his quarterback. I don't think it's going to like change a ton. And, so I think he's fairly safe. And then last year he showed a ceiling. He's a really good young wide receiver with stability in terms of like the players he's playing with. Good offensive line, good connection with the quarterback. They're not going to add a lot of target competition. They probably won't. I mean, maybe they add like a big wide receiver 3 to take over for Tim Patrick or whatever, but nothing's going to like shake this up. And so if I was ordering the back end, I would have Amon-Ra ahead of Nico, ahead of Lamb, but I don't want to fade those guys. So I've just kind of like, I'm letting the ADP, kind of get who I get. Because
won't be upset.
Nico's awesome. And so my slight preference to Amon-Ra is not enough for me to fade Nico.
How about the Nico Collins coordinator change there? Like that should be good for him.
Yes, it should. I mean, I think ADP. Honestly, I think ADP is right here. That's it. The only thing is it's just going to be very funny when the exact thing that everyone knows is going to happen, which is that the Cowboys are going to take Jeanty at 12, catapult Jeanty into this somewhere in this range of guys. It's just going to be very funny when the literal thing that everyone knows, we all have a tacit understanding, the Cowboys are taking Jeanty at 12, and then it's just going to happen, and then Best Ball Mania is going to open, and it's like, dude, if you want Jeanty, you got to take him at pick 8.
101.
Jeanty's a great pick right now, and like if he doesn't go to the Cowboys, he could very well go to the Chargers. He could go to that would be a crazy pick by the Bears, but you could see him doing it.
The only spot that I think a team could conceivably do it, where he would just be like, well, sucks I wasted a bunch of those big board teams, is the 49ers.
I agree. I think I could totally see them doing that. And kind of a succession plan at running back is not the best thing, but I could see them.
But that's
doing
just that's just how Shanahan does things. Yeah.
The Broncos is another absolute smash.
Oh my God. You might even prefer him with the Broncos to the Cowboys.
I would. Yeah. The Broncos I think is my number 1 because their offensive line is so good.
Davis, could he make it to 20? Jeanty?
I mean, I actually think he could, because if the Cowboys pass on him, you look at the first round and you're like, which of these other teams are actually going to take a running back there?
I know.
I don't think
You're right.
I guess you'd be fading because most of these teams in between have running backs.
Right. Arizona.
Maybe you're fading Arizona. Yeah, I could see Arizona. It's the same. It's the West Coast. Shanahan tree. Petzig loves a running game. Maybe, but yeah.
Arizona,
Minnesota,
sure.
Minnesota down at 24, but not after they signed Najee Harris, making him 3 rounds more expensive as soon as that happens, which is what I'm betting on.
I've been taking Najee, man. If I'm drafting Najee, he's a good value. You can
love it.
Bet on that.
Yeah.
I mean, people are mentioning potential landing spots for him. The Vikings exist, and that I feel like that makes sense from all angles. Maybe
I think what Najee has to, but this is why Najee is a really good pick right now. Is that like he's at a price where if he was a handcuff or a bridge running back,
he's not dead.
He's not dead at this price. It's fine. It's not your preference, but it's not a problem for the way you built your team. Especially if you're drafting rookies. It's like he's going to be fine the early part of the season. But I do think he's fading, like goes to Minnesota and then they draft Caleb Johnson in the second round or something. Like that would be.
The Bills have their second round pick through Houston with Diggs. So Minnesota.
So that's a bad example.
Just randomly though, Pat, like just they don't have that particular pick, but I don't know. Like, shouldn't we? This is where we beat our heads against the wall. Shouldn't we all know at this point not to do something like that? If you're a team like that, go lean into McCarthy and Jefferson and get your running back on Saturday. Be fine.
Yeah, but I mean, like the Bears could pretty easily do like a Najee. Because if you're Ben Johnson, you're like, well, there's no running back on this roster. You know,
that's interesting because of what Detroit has been. Will they?
Yeah.
And they have extra picks still from Bryce Young.
Right.
So they might see them. That's an interesting running back in round 2 for Chicago. I think
it almost seems like a lock,
sense.
and they've been tied to Johnson.
Caleb
I think
Johnson.
Travion Henderson would be really fun there. I mean, he could go first round, but yeah. I mean, obviously Hampton would be really fun. Yeah, Bears running back in round 2. But I mean, you could also see them doing something like they bring in Najee and like Najee Travion would be pretty fun for the Bears.
I could definitely see them doing that. I could definitely see them just being like, we don't want Roshan or DeAndre Swift really, so let's just
they don't want DeAndre Swift. That's been proven out by their own actions.
He is under contract though, right?
He is under contract. Yeah.
Obviously, they should trade for Khalil Herbert. We've had 2 great wide receivers from LSU. We've also now got 2 good ones coming up in the back half of the first round. How about LSU in this thing?
Did you like that synergy there? You like clearly transitioned, and I picked up what you're putting down.
Yes, absolutely.
Are we gonna count?
Not lost on me.
Are we gonna count Jack Besh as part of the LSU tree?
Oh no!
Let me see if we have a graphic.
The Senior Bowl really, its influence has really risen.
No, dude, I looked this up because I actually couldn't believe it. Jack Besh led a team in receptions that had Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Nabers, Trey Palmer, and Kayshon Boutte on it.
Really?
His true freshman year.
They were freshmen. Okay. Yeah.
He was a freshman too. It's not like they weren't freshmen. He was also a freshman.
And then what happened?
I don't know why you think that is the important part.
And then what happened?
He went to med school.
Some stuff happened, Kareem.
They went to the wing T.
Yeah, a lot of football was played.
How many receptions?
9.
49.
49. Okay. All right. I thought you were going to say less than that.
He didn't lead in dominator rating, obviously, because that would be the part to lead with, but he did lead in pure.
The actual yards was not the thing he dominated. But...
Correct.
Overrated. Okay. Davis and I with Pete last week talked up Jacksonville a little bit. I don't know, Pat, do you have a preference here between these two? Strong preference?
I mean, I kind of prefer, I don't know. It's tricky because you have the better talent is Nabers, but the better situation is Thomas. And I think the better situation is Thomas, even if they like add somebody. This isn't a particularly strong wide receiver class. Outside of Tet McMillan, he's the only guy I'd be like, oh, that changes things. If they add, let's say, like Matthew Golden and get rid of Christian Kirk, that's probably a net positive for Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
Right? Like Kirk can earn targets. He can earn targets. He's not great, but he can earn targets. Golden might suck. Like it's possible, right? It's not, we just don't know. So, and if he's really good, that could maybe eat into Thomas's upside a little bit, but we also have an offense that we could see make huge improvements in terms of the way it's designed with
I like that.
Liam Cohen.
And I think Davis, we talked about this last week, like I said, I think Kirk is there. His dead cap is pretty, 13 million. Why wouldn't he be there at 29 off that? He had a collarbone injury.
Yeah. I would say it's likely, maybe not like, an absolute stone lock or anything like that. The one that I think is 50-50 to be gone is Ingram. It's like you don't cut Ingram just to cut him, but you also you can conceivably cut him and it's fine.
Yep.
If the Giants get Stafford, where does Nabers go?
He might just end up being right there. I could see.
Does he flip Justin Jefferson?
Yeah.
Does he flip Justin Jefferson? Is the question.
Possible. Definitely possible.
I think he might flip Justin Jefferson.
He at least enters that other graphic. Like he's in there.
Yeah.
At least. I mean, and then what's the difference at that point? But yeah, he moves up for sure.
So, I mean, from that perspective, if this Stafford, we've had Thomas at like a pick ahead, like the market in the rankings, but I'm going to think through this Stafford, because if Stafford goes there, there's a lot to gain. That's a meaningful move. If you're drafting the 106 at 111, it's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. By the way, do you have a draft slot you like the most or dislike the most so far?
I like the 1-4 because you can get
Gibbs.
You can get Gibbs.
You can get Jefferson.
You can get Jefferson. You basically get one of the guys you think is in the conversation for the 101, and then you can get one of Tyreek or Jonathan Taylor, depending on what you
Yeah.
want. So it's
Well,
it's
you
really
can
nice.
potentially get Trey McBride in the third. I think Trey McBride should be going like mid-second.
Yeah.
That's probably
Davis.
the
You have him
craziest
ranked at like
ADP.
19 or something like that, right? I mean, yeah.
I've got him ranked,
Right.
I think, at 24.
Different Davis.
No, you probably just didn't download the most recent one from last Thursday or whatever.
Yeah.
I did.
Well, my internet broke.
I had him up.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I just had him up very high, and then I was like, I don't actually want to have 100% of this guy.
Right.
So
You don't need him that high.
Yeah, I'm gonna trim.
You
him
don't
back.
need that. That's honestly that's how I like. I've debated like, do I want to just put McBride where I think he should go, or do I want to like have some exposure to the other guys here? Because I think he's just like 8-9 spots too low. I think we found the line. You take Nabers over Jefferson, that's crazy, and then Puka Nabers flip. So it sounds like the chat would have him behind Jefferson, but ahead of Puka.
They become each other if Stafford goes to the Giants.
Yeah, I guess that's right. That's right. Yeah.
I am Nabers over Thomas here pretty easily. I do like the Jacksonville bet, as we talked about last week. I don't have to keep saying that. But I'm going with like still the pedigree with Nate. Think about just how disadvantaged you would be going to the Giants. And look what happened. I mean, way worse than the Jacksonville thing.
Yeah.
So Nabers would be 10 at the latest for me in drafts. How about the turn? So we got a running back graphic here, including Jeanty, McCaffrey, Achane, and Derrick Henry, who I know I won't be picking ever. Don't ask me why, but option. Do you like how about a running back start? What does that end up looking like, Pat? Sorry for asking that question, but
you live with that? You get dusted if you do that, and you miss out on Worthy and Harrison, because then you're into the next range of guys. So you got to play. It's because then it goes what from Worthy and Harrison to then Devonta Smith. So it's like Devonta's a fine pick, but you also have no stacking options then. So like I just took Devon, and then I have to take JMO to have any chance of a stack partner. So then you're just like
early on in drafts, and I was drafting more. I need to like dive back in. I was traveling a bit, and so I haven't drafted as much lately as I was early. But like early on in drafts, running back starts were extremely viable because you could take like Tyreek Hill in the 4th round and stuff. Marvin Harrison was like there all the time. So it's as the wide receivers move up, this is one of the tough things. It's like as wide receivers get more expensive, it's harder sometimes to take the running backs. Instead, because you're like, well, now where am I going to get the wide receiver scoring? And it's not like that great of a. Last year was a great wide receiver class. This year's not a great wide receiver class. It's not terrible, but it is. I mean, getting one running back early is like super viable still, and I think you can, like Dave is saying, you can pull it off. It's just a little trickier than it used to be to go running back.
Achane is tough for me at the turn. Just
dude, I don't get Achane's ADP at all. I don't understand.
Right? Like Davis has mentioned the Bengals a few times, like as a team, as a Chase Brown guy, but Cincinnati, what would they want to do there? Compliment him. To me, that's Miami, where they saw what Achane's value was as a compliment to Mostert. Mostert led the NFL in touchdowns 2 years ago, and you had Achane, who was this phenomenal, explosive play guy. Last year, you got sort of oddly the receiving volume, but none of the explosive stuff. If I'm Miami, I want to go back to that, whether that's his weight or whatever I have to do there, and then bring in, I don't know if it's Jalen Wright, but have somebody be the complement to him, which makes him like low 2nd round for me.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the running back class and who's in it, and it's a bunch of guys who would be awesome complements to Devon Achane. Like that's the whole class. I mean, there's a few exceptions, but largely, and in position where like the Dolphins might spend like a 3rd or 4th round pick on a guy. That guy is, very likely to be an awesome complement to Achane type. Like a Damian Martinez, a Khalil Mullings in day 3, like those guys. Or you could go more expensive and say, could this be a Judkins team?
So let me do the devil's advocate thing, which is you actually might prefer Achane with this complimentary guy, where he can lose 10 pounds and spend all offseason being quick, not like, I'm going to get tackled 230 times. And Tua stays healthy, and they figure out a little bit of something on the offensive line, and then all of a sudden he's he's rookie Achane again.
Yeah, but I just don't. It's not that Achane can't pay off, but it's weird to have to pay. Like, we're paying locked in volume prices,
right,
for what's best. Like, our best outcome is sort of like a return to talent bet. It's like a bounce back talent bet, but you have to pay for all this volume that he got last year in kind of like a weird situation that we don't think they will want to repeat, and that and it's pretty fragile to even look like it will repeat. You know,
right?
Like, there's just a lot of guys in this draft class that would look to eat in to Devin Achane's early down workload, especially if then we get any comments about, well, he's such a good receiver, we're going to keep him involved, but we want to have more of a thunder and lightning approach. Like, if you give me Achane at like a early third round price post draft, post them drafting an early down guy or whatever, like, sure, that sounds good. But I don't know. It's just like, it just seems.
What do you think his price will be if they take Damian Martinez in the third round?
I think he would probably be in the early third round.
God,
at the latest.
I would have an infinite amount. I mean, I think I would actually
maybe
just
late
take him
second
every
then.
time.
Maybe late second.
Like, if he was going after Bucky.
But I mean, we took Tony Pollard when the backfield was to himself, and he was coming off an efficient season. We took him in the late second. Achane's coming off a really. I mean, so Brett's saying Achane, Pat Crane, Achane Bear, Venus must be in retrograde. Achane had one of the least efficient rushing seasons in the league last year.
Yeah, like of all time.
Yeah, and he gained weight, and he basically was like, "Look, I'm gonna change who I am. I'm gonna be more of like the complete running back. Let me try that." It didn't work.
So it's like two people in an unhappy relationship, and Achane was like, "Sure, man, I'll change. I'll change for you." And he actually became a worse version of himself, changing to be in that relationship.
So like Venus, we did it. We did the second year thing. He got used a bunch more as a receiver, but I'm thinking of Achane as like he's more of an Aaron Jones. I'm thinking of him in that archetype now. I would like to see him more as an Aaron Jones type. Do I want to pay? And I never paid 1-2 turn prices for Aaron Jones. I never did that. He always wanted the 2-3 turn. You know, that's kind of where I'm at with Achane. I think the upside of like, dude, this guy, what if he gains a little weight and takes on everything and is still awesome as a rush? Well, he wasn't at all. He was terrible actually as a runner.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah.
Venus not in retrograde until Saturday, by the way, for those keeping score at home. And I look forward to getting astrology pop-up ads after having searched that.
They're coming.
Yeah, they're coming. Risers, ADP chasing. We've got a few names here, a couple rookies. The combine this week, we talked about that a lot. At the top, Rhamondre Stevenson.
Hayden,
be careful.
Hayden has been doing this Rhamondre propaganda.
Okay.
And obviously the people who are drafting on Underdog all follow Hayden Winks and all watch the football show with Josh and Hayden. And he's just been him and Josh actually have been doing the Rhamondre propaganda, to which I have to say, you really better hope that Rhamondre Stevenson does not have to learn any of these guys.
Anybody's
name.
Here, let me get the list of names he doesn't have to learn.
Yeah, please, you really better hope.
I got their cards. Hang on a second.
Yeah. Is he learning Jordan James? Is he learning RJ
if
Harvey?
Any of these guys goes to New England, he's in trouble.
Seriously. That's where his ADP falls. As long as he avoids all those guys, it's a great price.
I think I would say he is the number one most fragile running back situation. Like by far, I would say number one of 32.
Well, DeAndre Swift still gets drafted, so I would put him there.
Swift, okay. Here's the argument you can make for Swift though. Anywhere he plays, he is at least fast. Like at least DeAndre Swift theoretically can be a pace and space, gets there on 11 touches a game guy.
Yeah.
You absolutely cannot make that case with Rhamondre. Rhamondre needs 18 touches a game.
Right. And so Jordan James is a worse Rhamondre Stevenson. I love the Jordan James call out as a guy to worry about. Jordan James is a new Rhamondre Stevenson drafted by the guys in charge. That's what it would be, right? Like If we think Jordan James is worse than Rhamondre Stevenson, doesn't matter. If a team just spent a 3rd round pick on Jordan James, they're going to be playing Jordan James.
Many such cases of this.
Yeah. I think Stevenson's he's not terrible at this price, but he moves up. Yeah, he's fine. He's fine. As he moves up, you just have to be like aware that you might be drafting a backup down the stretch. This might be an early season bet.
I could see New England under Vrabel with everybody knows it. Everybody talks about how lacking for weapons they are, getting into that running back free agent pool that everybody hates and holding up a shiny new toy to go with Stevenson. I mean, Stevenson is always invited. I don't know, like remember last year he was going to be benched at different times and sort of it's not like rock solid. So
he was benched and Mayo forgot to do it.
Yeah, right. But he's sort of invited that.
Yeah.
Sign Javonte Williams or somebody like that and make it even more.
If he signs Javonte Williams, then Stevenson should probably be a 3rd round pick.
So Kareem, I was hoping we would get here to Javonte because I moved Javonte up quite a bit in my rankings. And
I like it too.
Not because I like Javonte. I actually think Javonte is mostly toast. That he basically just never came back from the knee injury. But the more you think about this running back class, and the more I think about philosophically the way some NFL coaches are, obviously not all, but some of them are going to prefer the devil they do know to the devil they don't know. And they're going to say, I don't need Bhayshul Tuten. I don't need Damian Martinez. I don't need Quinshon Judkins. I need Javonte Williams. I'm going to sign Javonte Williams for 2 years. You know what he is, Pat? He's Zach Moss.
But that's
Zach
bad.
Moss. It's good for where he's being drafted in.
Okay, you're right. He's so cheap, it's fine. Yeah,
he's running back 50. Now, if Javonte gets signed by the Chargers or the Bengals or wherever, and he goes to the running back 29, that is like you just cross him off. You just say,
yeah.
You say, hey, thanks for your service, Javonte. I will let someone else take you.
No, you're right. If the Bhayshul Tuten prices, then Javante's totally fine. But I don't think he's coming from one of the best offensive lines in the league. Probably the 2nd best offensive line, right? You'd probably have it like Eagles, Broncos, Lions last year.
We'll always have that game where I declared his career over against the New Orleans Saints.
And he was huge. A huge game. Thursday night. Yeah. Of the free agent running backs, there are like 3 where I think you can, as we say, tell yourself the story. Najee is one, and Dowdle might be one. The other guys are older or off Achilles tears. And then there's Javonte Williams. I mean, I agree with this point. I like drafting him too for his price. Somebody's going to do that.
I think you could tell yourself a story that most NFL teams would view Javonte as the running back 2 of this free agency class and say, we would rather have that than spend a draft pick on pick a guy. Cam Scott.
And for whatever Denver's line was, nobody else did anything either. So it's not like he got shown up by anybody on that team.
Well, he's going to get shown up by Ashton Jeanty once he gets there. But I mean we have Javonte like exactly at ADP. I think he's a totally fine pick. There is upside. Just in landing spot, there is upside.
Kareem, I'll make our favorite point for us really quick. Hey, we're getting these comments. The Patriots, they have all these holes. Would make no sense to take a running back. I promise you guys. I promise you, beyond promise. You know what NFL coaches view as a hole? The running back position.
Yeah.
It might not matter to you, might not matter to me, matters to them. Not
Mike
every
Vrabel.
Coach, but you want to know who views running back as the most important position on offense?
The former Tennessee Titans coach.
A coach that had Derrick Henry.
Brown.
Yeah.
Traded AJ Brown.
I think the Patriots should not spend any capital on a running back. I agree. But like,
they might.
They absolutely might. So
I like a
Ollie
free
Gordon
agent and a draft pick for them. Both. That would have me.
Free agency is probably what they should do. They should probably like have a team. They should probably add Najee, and just be like, all right, we're good. It's not that expensive, something like that, as opposed to spending draft capital at the position. They got to fix the line. They should not draft a running back or bring in a running back and just spend a ton of money on line.
They got to fix it all.
Get a wide receiver. Yeah.
Fallers, our final graphic of the day. The Fallers is more of a.
Wait, can we talk RJ Harvey real quick?
Yeah, please.
This I thought I was gonna be pretty out on RJ Harvey because if you watch him, there's plays where he'll like run towards like a gigantic hole and then be like, and just bounce it like super far outside, and he's so fast that he can pull that off. She's like, I don't know, man. This guy looks like. Is the NFL going to be into this? Kind of seems like the NFL's into this.
Sounds like yes, yeah.
Yeah, seems like the NFL's pretty into this, and you know, I'm watching highlights. I'm not like grinding the tape. The stuff on Harvey as far as like can he go between the tackles actually seems to be pretty positive.
I wonder.
I believe in this guy as a runner.
I wonder if it's one of those things where that archetype of running back is actually scarce in this class. There's way more of the other type. It's like not the Leggett class, the Mingo class. Mingo was like the only big guy in that whole class.
Right.
And so it was like, oh well, if you want that prototype of guy, you got to take Mingo.
You got to take a terrible version of it.
You got to take a terrible version of it, and you got to take him at pick 33 or whatever. Yeah. So I do think that's my guess as to what's happening. And I think same thing with Jordan James too, by the way.
Yeah. And Brett's saying there's running backs that'll go rounds 2 and 3 being undrafted. Jordan James, I mean, he's in like a Brugler's top 100. I wasn't really into Jordan James until I saw that. If you take a running back with like any interesting college profile whatsoever and you give him like pick 90, he is draftable in a 20-round format. That's all it takes, okay? If there's anything to Jordan James going top 100, he is a screaming value. We moved him up a bunch in the last few days on that type of steam. But Harvey also, I think he was 95 in Brugler's top 100, and I'm not only seeing Brugler on Harvey. It seems like Harvey is, very live to go. Let's say by the middle of the 4th round, he'll be off the board. He's got a pretty interesting profile with that level of draft capital because he can catch passes. So even if he isn't like a real between the tackles guy, and he's small, he's undersized. I think he's like in the 190s or something. But he's as a versatile back with speed. I like him a lot at this price. Like I think he can move up like another 20 picks. I'd still be into it.
I agree.
Fallers is mostly a quarterback list. Is the market sort of like regressing on how early they want to take the top guys here? 2 of the top 3 here, Allen and Jackson listed.
Yeah, it's really it all is. Well, and Kareem Hunt and Mahomes specifically. There was this period 2 weeks ago before the Super Bowl where a bunch of people who don't know English were drafting in these leagues, and these drafts got thrown out, but they're not in the contest, where people were just taking Eagles and Chiefs players. So
all the Chiefs are falling because
all the Chiefs are.
Yeah,
they're thinking they were just drafting for the Super Bowl.
They thought they were just drafting for the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know. The elite quarterbacks are not really for me in this contest, and if that is why I don't win, it's just the 2v2s are just too difficult, man. There's no certainty in the later rounds, but you can take Geno and you're like, well, Geno's probably going to be starting. So it's just like, sure, yeah, maybe you'll need Josh Allen to win, but I'm like, okay, I'm passing on DJ Moore to take Josh Allen, and then I'm passing on Savion Williams to take Geno Smith. Like, I know which one of those sides I prefer.
Well, what about
DJ
Mahomes,
Moore?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
DJ Moore was the other guy. We were talking about the Bears earlier.
DJ
Doomsday, Keenan Allen's gone. The other guy, that's the other guy. DJ Moore. Yeah, that's the other guy.
Wow, how
the
mighty have fallen. Yeah.
The thing with Mahomes is he's not really an elite quarterback now. As far as
he's bad.
No, he's not.
He's bad now.
Well, I mean, just by ADP. I purely mean by ADP.
No, I mean it. I mean it for fantasy. Unless there is a market, we're talking a 2-year trend of him being an average fantasy quarterback with a really low floor.
Yeah,
that's maybe even the bigger deal. Is they'll go on a 4-game win streak where he scored like 12 fantasy points per game, which Lamar's just never doing that.
But he's priced like that a little bit now. I mean, he's behind Burrow now, right? So
I think there's a pretty good argument you should take Goff.
Yeah, he's behind
and
Burrow
Baker
by a lot.
Yeah,
Prescott is still my favorite too. Purdy, all those guys in that stretch. Okay,
Prescott is a great value.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on Fantasy Mojo tweeting about how, having watched an FFPC stream, that whoever won the playoff challenge didn't know who Brock Bowers was?
Yeah, what's it?
And
So, Mike, your tweet
only-
was gone. I was supposed to pull it up, but it's gone now.
I took it back because we went, we didn't get there, but
we're
Yeah,
there
if you-
now.
are we?
Here we are.
You don't
is my
have to
moment.
be you don't have to be intelligent to win at fantasy football, and in fact, I think you could make an argument that being intelligent actively
Come on, man.
holds you back.
Ouch.
Is it an intelligence thing, or just sort of like maybe we're a little bit too obsessed? Does it make you?
Yeah,
There you go, Pat.
being obsessed does not help you win.
Didn't play season long. Didn't know who Daniels and McConkey were until after the season, and doesn't know who Bowers is. Won pretty good prize.
Won a good prize.
Also,
It's like me in baseball right here.
a great lesson that gambling contests are they don't care about your feelings. They don't care how smart you are. They don't care how much you think you should win. None of that matters. None of that matters.
All right.
So
to pull back from the brink of nihilism here, I'll just note that there was a lot of chalk that hit this year. So if you were going to go into a tournament not knowing who Brock Bowers is in a tight end premium format, this was the year. This was a good year to just draft the names that you did know that had been in the league longer than a year.
Yeah, why wouldn't you just do that? Draft the players you've heard of. Why wouldn't you just do that? I would do that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It was a good year to draft the players you've heard of.
It was.
A lot of chalk.
oh my God, yeah, this would have been an unbelievable year. Oh, I know who Joe Burrow is. I know who Derrick Henry is. I know who Saquon
It's a
Barkley
great
is.
year for
I know
name
who
value.
Adam Thielen is. I know who Quentin Johnston. That guy probably didn't know who Quentin Johnston was.
No, he didn't. That was
This is
fine.
not-
Johnson didn't really bury you. He was just like a fine pick to have made.
It's not fair to my son at 15, but he did win his league running away.
Hey,
He
that
knows
feels
more
good.
than that guy, maybe, but just not everybody. Okay, boys, what's new this week from you? Combine.
We'll be on later today. Or no, we're actually not streaming that. I'm jumping on with the crew. We're talking through the rankings. We'll stream something later on this week. Talking through the leg up rankings.
Generally speaking, do we overreact to this week? Is maybe the edge not overreacting to this week, or the other way around?
I think people overreact. People just react like inconsistently to this week. Like, for example, last year, Lad McConkey coming in crazy athletic.
Who? Sorry. Go ahead.
Fundamentally, no, that was a good one. Fundamentally changed my perception of him. I'm like, oh, I thought this guy was the lunch pail guy. This guy's a freak athlete. That's different, you know.
Good.
So
Good point.
So there was a shift, and I think that shift was important for us. Now, maybe the NFL, you know, with like better tracking data and stuff, had already understood who he was, but for me, it was an opportunity for me to kind of get right on my understanding of the player. I don't think we want to like triple count athleticism. You know, like Worthy running the fastest time ever moved him up, and that rightfully so. But like in most cases, we're kind of confirming stuff like, oh, this guy's going to be really fast. Oh, he is really fast. And then that can sometimes get overrated. Guys being unathletic can get overrated. You know, where it's like, okay, he's not super athletic, but he was productive. Like this would be the Bucky Irving thing. Like and we've done this with a few running backs, Bucky Irving, Kyron Williams, where they're like, once the RAS is below like 8, I don't care. Like, and the fact that it's like 3 or 4, like, okay, he's not athletic. You know, he's gonna have to do it with like, you know, being a really good football player. Oh, but he was super productive and he looks like a really good football player. So it doesn't like, we shouldn't like get like really over aggressively punishing guys for being super unathletic unless there's a concern they're not going to get drafted now. At that point, then sure. But the other thing I would say too is that at the very top, and I see this usually at tight end, there's always a guy who's got like a 9.99 RAS.
The
Theo
Johnson Award.
The Theo Johnson, the Zach Kuntz,
Yeah.
the Jelani Woods. He becomes like the tight end 1 for people. And it's like, no, this guy's not good. You know, like whoever has And it's especially frustrating when like Sam Laporta has like a 9.7 RAS. It's like, who cares? He's not the most athletic. So don't get wrapped up in who the most athletic tight end is. Look at who all the athletic tight ends are. Because it's important to be athletic, but you don't have to be the most athletic. Don't pass on Aiden Hutchinson because he's not the most athletic edge. Don't be that guy.
Correct way to respond is to read the tea leaves and get the information from the mock drafts and everything. What does this do to these guys' draft capital? Like Isaiah Bond right now is the wide receiver 65 or whatever in the big board. He's going to run a 4.2 whatever. He's going to, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, Isaiah Bond might actually be a first round pick. And
I'll tell you what though, if he runs a 4.2 and it's like he's a good day 3 addition, you better run for the hills.
It's so over. And it's like so that is so funny. If Bond runs that time and people are like, yeah, maybe a special teams contributor, it's like, dude, try and trade in the teams you have that you haven't already anyway. Be like, I'm pressing the surrender button on Isaiah because I like Isaiah Bond based on that movement. But if that is the talk, if he does run this crazy time and it's like, kind of like Tyquan Thornton-y, it's going to be like abort mission, get off immediately. Yeah.
Because he's one of those guys. Isaiah Bond is expected to be quite fast, like very, very fast. So yeah, if you don't hear about him in the first round or early round 2 after he runs a really fast time, not good.
Yeah, super over.
Good advice. Pat Davis, thank you. We'll see you in March. Look forward to your content this week and enjoy the combine. Thanks for watching and listening. I'm Mike Shope. Goodbye for now.